And this meeting is being live streamed for those, for those of you. This is how we do it on the Fridays. So I am going to live stream this thing to YouTube because past couple of weeks I've been doing that, and it has it's worked. It's worked pretty well, actually. So I am just getting that set up. Thank you for being here. Thanks for those of you who came a little bit early. All right, there we go. And let me just I'll pop a quick note into the YouTube group. We got some people there already. Good. This is good. This is what you want for a Friday, isn't it? All right, there we go. Ask me anything here in the chat. I did promote it a little bit this week. I'll share something pretty cool that I'm working on right now. I'll share something with you that I'm working on that actually is working really, really well. I'm working on this with a private client, so I can't give you details about who it is that's doing this. But let me tell you this: I'm working with this private client right now, and we are doing some Facebook ads, and this person is getting email addresses leads into their marketing system we just checked for like just before this call I was on with them. They're getting leads for about $1.16 per lead. That is like, I almost want to switch what I do so that I can get leads for that price. I mean, that is just ridiculously ridiculous. Like if I get leads for under $5 a lead, I'm dancing around. Usually I'm spending a little bit more than that. So this client that I'm working with, we're getting leads for her business for, it was under $1.20. It was a buck in the teens for this week. And I'm like, don't touch anything. Don't change anything. So how are we doing this? I'll show you. And you guys who are watching on YouTube, I think you'll dig this as well. So we are using and by the way, if you're here on the Zoom, you're a part of any of my programs, or you've ever worked with me in any capacity. If you happen to be here, I'm broadcasting live to YouTube because this is just the open Q&A that we hold every Friday, like kind of open office. And I broadcast this thing live to YouTube because we get a lot of people that show up on YouTube that they have questions, and I don't know, maybe if I answer them, they'll think about joining one of my programs, maybe. And if you do anything at all where you host Q&As with your people, it might be wise to try doing something like this as well. I like doing it because it's a gesture of goodwill, and it helps people. And you know how I roll. I like to help people because when you help them, then they see that you can help them, and then they want to pay you to have you help them even more. So let me show you. I'll show you this methodology that we're using. I won't be able to show you how to set this up on this call because that's something that we'll keep for like the inner circle. We will do that. I'll take you through this step by step in the inner circle. And Galvanized, we have already done this. So if you're in the Galvanized Mastermind, you've already seen this. So let me just share my tablet with you, and I'll give you the high level overview of how we're getting a dollar and change leads. And these are really targeted leads too. I don't know what to think about it. I'm happy and grateful that it's happening. I can tell you that. I'm going to share my tablet with you, and I'll draw this out. So how I'm going to say it's me. It's not me, but I can't really. You got to be very careful when you make any kind of claims that have to do with money. So I'm not gonna make any kind of claim that anyone's doing this other than me. I'm the one that's running this campaign anyways. And I certainly can't guarantee that you're going to make money at all doing this. And you might lose a lot of money doing this. And you go into all ad campaigns with that understanding. You might lose some money. My tolerance is $5,000 in 1 month, by the way. That's my tolerance. That's my highest level of tolerance for losing money in a month on an ad campaign. But I never consider it losing money because I use the data that I collect in spending $5,000 to make my next month's campaigns better. So I will spend $5,000 on a campaign, expect to make nothing back aside from getting a ton of information that I can then synthesize into next month's ad campaign. So how I'm getting leads for, I think it was like $1.17 for $1.17. Can you buy anything on the face of the earth for $1.17? I don't even think you can. I don't even think you could go into a dollar store and buy something for $1.17. I think it's going to be more than that. So this is how we're getting leads. So this is the niche is professional services. Okay, so this is professional service. This is someone who has both one-on-one work with clients one-on-one, but also works in a group capacity, and then also has a recorded program that people can take. And they're all exactly the same, except the level of attention that you get from the professional service provider, so my client. And so that's the niche. I don't want to get more detailed than that because I want to keep things super, super confidential. And I want to be very careful with who's seeing this, especially on YouTube. I don't want more competition. I don't want to have to spend more on the leads. So here's the methodology that we're using. We created a extremely high value lead magnet. Like, this thing is extremely high value. In this particular case, it is both, it is an assessment with a video that teaches how to do it, how to do the self-assessment. Oof. And then provides recommendations, provides one recommendation. And that's super, super important. So the outcome of this lead magnet is one recommendation. By the way, that recommendation is pretty much the same for everyone. And then one recommendation. The lead magnet then sells. You can do this in a variety of ways. I'm going to show you the way that they're doing it, but I will also give you some options on what you can do. And then, by the way, there's stuff that happens here that we have to talk about. That's where the real magic happens. Well, the real magic happens over here as well. So the lead magnet provides a tremendous amount of value, allows the consumer of the lead magnet to do an assessment that's related to the professional services that are offered, and then makes one big recommendation, something that they should do right now. So think about what you do and think about how you could have someone maybe either take a quiz or answer some questions. All right, welcome aboard. We just had a ton of people show up. And I am in full-on teaching mode. So I have revealed to the group on Zoom, and then we're also broadcasting live to YouTube right now. A couple of people there. Thanks for being here on the YouTube. I'm talking about how I'm helping one of my clients get leads. And when we set this up, and then we looked at it for the first time today together, and discovered that they're getting leads for $1.17, $1.17 per email address. Like, so this is how we're doing it. Their niche is professional services. We created a high value lead magnet. This is where we started. This was step number one. So we created a high value lead magnet. This lead magnet does a couple of things. It allows the consumer to go through a very simple self-assessment, and then it has a video associated with it that teaches them how to conduct that assessment. Because if it's one thing for someone to take the lead magnet, it's an entirely different thing for them to actually do what the lead magnet tells them to do. That's critical. That's a critical point. So then it teaches them how to do the assessment, and then it makes one recommendation, an actual thing that they can do right now to get some sort of a result. And so what's happening here is this free lead magnet is extending a benevolence, extending goodwill, extending being very generous and helping them before even any kind of a sales conversation. However, at the end of the lead magnet, there is a positioning statement. There is a sales message to get them to the next the next point. And so the next point for this client, this doesn't have to be for you, but the next point for this client is a low barrier to entry, offer. And I'm just trying to keep this super high level because I don't want you hung up on what their pricing is and what they're offering. But this low barrier to entry offer is not expensive, super high value. And is asymmetric in that my client doesn't have to do a lot when someone takes advantage of this low barrier to entry offer. Okay, so we start with the high value lead magnet that has an assessment. The video teaches how to do the assessment and then gives one big recommendation. That's free. This is free, by the way. And then the next step is inside of the lead magnet, positioning the low barrier to entry offer after the one recommendation. So that's where the offer comes in. And that's, in this case, it's written copy that is making an offer to the low barrier to entry. That's it. That's the only thing it's doing. It's not trying to sell them into something high ticket. It's just trying to get them to take another millimeter step towards working with them. The low barrier to entry offer then positions the core service. So people can take the low barrier to entry offer and get results and leave, and many will, but a small percentage will say, I'm ready for more, and then they will then get into the core service. And so the low barrier to entry offer has built-in offers that suggest the core service. But in between all of these, you know what? I'm going to save that. There's something that I'm going to put in here and here that is super, super, super important. I'll get to that in a second. So then how do we get people to the high value lead magnet? Well, we start by testing the market organic. We just test the market just for a couple of days, make some social media posts about this lead magnet and see how many take advantage of it. Those people that take advantage of it do not factor into the cost per lead. Okay, that's just testing the market. Do people want this? And I just want a couple of downloads. That's it. Maybe 3. If I can put this out in front of 3,000 people and I get 3 people to download it, I think I got something. I can work with that. I'd like more, but I can work with that. And so then the paid methodology is creating, we're doing this with Facebook ads. And the Facebook ads are just the simplest of ads you could possibly imagine. The Facebook ads are an image with a picture of my client who actually surprisingly looks just like that. I was able to capture them perfectly. I'm really not even an artist. I can't even believe that. That's exactly what they look like. If you might know them just based on that alone. And then a really just strong message here, made this in Canva. A headline, another line, and then a couple of words of text, and then a learn more button. That's it. It's just a really basic Facebook ad. And we chose a very broad audience. So the audience that we chose was about 500,000. Just as a test, we put it in front of 500,000 people. And so this launched earlier this week. And I know I don't we just don't. I'm looking at my clock. To go into something like this, hang around in the inner circle. We'll get there. Galvanized, we've already gotten there. But we put that ad in front of 500,000 people, and they are getting leads for $1.17 per lead. Now, it's very early in the campaign. It's only this week. So that's a ludicrously low number. And we logged into the campaign today because it's been running for enough days for us to log in and make any changes in case changes need to be made. But I'm just like, leave this thing alone. So my methodology is going to be to let it run for a couple more days, let it run over the weekend. And then on Monday, if we're still getting leads for $1.17, now we start ratcheting the budget up just a little bit. And so these leads come in the form of an email address. So the first thing that we do is we send them an email or two or three, getting them to consume. Pardon me, back that up. The lead happens here. And so they get a few emails telling them to consume the thing. Because what's going to happen is people are going to say they want the thing, and by the thing, I mean the lead magnet. People are going to say they want it, and they're going to give you their email address, and then they're never going to do anything. In fact, most people are going to, when you do this, most people are going to give you their email address in exchange for something of value. I didn't open the chat. Sorry about that, guys. I bet you that's what this Q&A is. Sorry. Let me open up that chat. We launched into this thing even before the top of the hour. Okay. Yeah, and Fridays are supposed to be we're supposed to be a little bit lighter on Fridays, but surprise, we're not. So people will give you their email address for the thing, and they will never, ever even open it. It will be sitting there. They might not even go to the page to download it. There's a very weird human behavior where people like to collect information but never do anything with it, and I don't know why. So if you're offering something for free, your number one priority for the people that say they want it is to make sure they consume it. Even though they're getting it for free, you've got to have something built in to make sure that they consume it. Because if they don't consume it, you can't sell to them. They'll forget about you. They'll even forget who you are. So you've got to get them to consume it. And so that's what the first emails are. The first emails are to get them to consume the thing. I have people that pay me for programs that never show up, that never even log in, that never do anything. So we hammer them. We're like, hey, you're in this. Go do this. So it's to get them to consume the thing. It's nice if there's some sort of a feedback mechanism in here where you're asking them to write back to you once they've consumed it and tell you what their biggest takeaway was. You can build in that kind of a feedback mechanism. So then the second part here is an email sequence that positions the low barrier to entry offer. And this sequence, let me just put a colored highlight in there so you can see what's what. So that goes to here. This is truly an educational sequence. Send them a bunch of emails, teach them a bunch of stuff, and then make the offer for the low barrier to entry. So it's educational sequence plus offer for the low barrier to entry. And so what we're looking to do is ascend people from the lead magnet, from the free to the paid. And here's the D mark where they become a client. Once they cross this line, now they're a client. And you know what? This could be $4. Could be $4, doesn't matter. The process of exchanging money with you changes the relationship entirely and profoundly. And you're sitting out there thinking, I'm a high-level consultant. I charge $400 an hour for what I do. How on earth am I going to charge $4 for something? You can find something that you can charge $4 for. I promise you that you can. But it needs to be asymmetric. You can't charge for someone $4 and then be spending a lot of time delivering to them. It's got to be asymmetric. So an example of this is the pitch course that I built a couple of years ago, probably 2020. I built a course on how to deliver a winning pitch in a networking event. And that pitch course, I sold it at one point. I was selling it for like $500, delivering it live and critiquing people's pitches. Now I've got it as a recorded program. You all have access to it. If you're in any program with me, you've got access to it. So Inner Circle, Galvanized, you guys have that. And so I have it as a recorded program so I can do whatever I want with it. And somebody's telling me their cost per lead is $5.68. That's great. That's a great cost per lead. And I would be delighted to get that all day long. So now I have the pitch course, which I'm offering for $4. Because the process of someone giving you money in exchange for something changes the relationship entirely. If it's $4 or $4,000, it doesn't matter. They've given you money. They are so much more likely to pay you more in the future. So crossing that threshold is important. Now, does it have to be $4? No. Could it be $197? Sure. That's low barrier to entry. I think up to $200 for many of us is low barrier to entry. I think people will part with up to $200 pretty readily for something. Once you get over 200, people start to think. Once you get over 300, then they start to look at, well, what else could I buy with that? But 100, 120, 150, 175, 176, some weird number in there. But I just want to get as scrappy as possible. So I offer that pitch course for $4. And if I'm getting, you know what, we won't do the crazy math. Then here, email sequence, you guessed it. Oh, wrong. Come on, Prouty. Email sequence that positions the core service. So who gets positioned the core service? Only the people who took the low barrier to entry offer. So this is the millimeters of movement ascension model from stranger to high paying client, or like a big lifetime value of a client. And all along the way, you're going to have people dropping off. That is natural. That's what happens. It's just what happens. People drop off along the way. Not everybody that enters this thing here is going to come out of this thing here, but we want to try to get them as far along as possible. So let's go. I started in the middle and I worked my way out. Let's take it from left to right. We're using organic traffic on the socials, whichever social you feel like using, as long as your audience is there, to test if people want this high-value lead magnet, which in this person's case was an assessment with a video that teaches them how to do the assessment and then ultimately makes one recommendation for them. So provides them with value, provides them with a micro transformation through the lead magnet, extends a tremendous amount of goodwill, educates long before any kind of sales conversation. But then it also makes an offer for a low barrier to entry offer. So that's your LBE offer, your low barrier to entry offer. $4. Here are all the numbers that I would choose based on research: $4, $7, $9, $19, $20, $22, $47, $67, $197. That's about what I would do. I would use those numbers. I just know those off the top of my head as the highest converting prices, but who cares? Just pick a number. Because one of the other things that you could do is, hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 200.
A random number between
$135.
Is 135.
Just pick a random number. Who cares? And see what happens. Like, there's a lot of, you can do a lot of scientific stuff here, or you could just go to market and see what happens. One of my teachers, when he was figuring out an ad, what he wanted for a budget for an ad campaign, would take a book and flip pages until he saw a number, and that's the number he would use for his ad campaign. Like, we're not, you don't have to get a beaker and Epsom salts out and become a scientist. Just pick something and do it. Don't get hung up on it. I'm going to be covering this in Inner Circle. I'm not going to be covering it next week, but this is coming up in the Inner Circle. We will do this. And you can ask on implementation, on Thursday implementation workshops. I will cover this in detail in implementation workshops if that's what you want to talk about. But in terms of a formal training in the Inner Circle, that's coming up. And we'll be doing a step by step by step by step. But you feel free to come into the Thursday calls and say, teach me one kind of ad. But I'm going to create an entire thing for you. So we started over here on the left. We tested organic to make sure people actually want the high value lead magnet. And then once we validated that people want it, then we put some money behind it with Facebook ads. We create a campaign that makes sure they are consuming it. So we just send them emails, making sure they're consuming it. In the lead magnet, there is the low barrier to entry offer. And in addition to the low barrier to entry offer here, we're also sending emails offering the low barrier to entry offer. Those emails come in the form of education plus the offer. We don't just blast them. We just don't just hammer them with offers. We still continue to nurture and educate them. And then we make the offer. A small percentage of the people who take this will ultimately take this. Once they're in this, the low barrier to entry offer, which is asymmetric, meaning you have created something that you've worked 1 hour and you get paid over and over for that hour. So this is something that they're going to consume on their own. Perhaps you do some sort of a monthly or weekly large group Q&A call. So it's asymmetric in your ability to deliver it. And as part of delivering it, it also positions the core service. Galvanized, we call that the main thing. It positions the main thing here. And then and then also we use emails to get people into the core service. You could replace emails with phone calls. You could be calling these people. You could be texting these people. You could be hitting them on instant messenger through the socials. As long as you have permission to message them, hit them any way you want. And so this is in place right now. The client already had all of this. And so right now, the first week of the campaign, leads are coming through at $1.17. It will not stay at $1.17. It never does. Okay, that's what's called beginner's luck. So we don't get too excited about it. And ultimately, we look for that $5, $6, $7. If you can get $3 a lead, that's great. If you can get and keep at $3 a lead, you're doing really good. But in general, we're looking for $5, $6, $7 a lead, and that's fine. I know Fridays are supposed to be wacky and fun, but let's do some of the heavy lifting. Piano Paul says finding texts are far more effective than emails. It's more work, but bigger bang for the buck. Yep. I'm glad you tested that. Just got to be careful with texts. You can't text people like you email them. I'll email someone 6 times in one day, and that's fine. But texting people 6 times in one day, you're going to run into a little bit of trouble. Any questions on this? Stop the share. Everybody good? Stopping the share in 3, 2. You know what? Before I stop the share, you can do a lot of damage without doing the ads. You can do a lot of damage right here. You can do a lot. You can do a lot just with the organic part of it. Especially if your core service is, $3,000. You don't need many people to go through this to get, say, 10 or 15 people on the other side. Especially if you're doing all the right things, like if your organic is educating them, if you're doing the what we call, you've heard this, you guys who are in the programs, this is the show of force. You do a good job with the show of force at the beginning of this organic. It's going to take a little bit longer, but if your core service is $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, getting 15 people. Organic would be doing social media posts. So going onto the socials and creating social content that specifically makes the offer towards the lead magnet. I've created this thing. It's going to do this for you. If you would like it, send me a direct message. Posts, videos, social cards. I created this thing. It's going to do this for you. Send me a direct message to get it. Text me to get it. You don't just want to send this thing to people willy-nilly. You want to get their email addresses or you want to get their texts. And you say to them, thank you. They'll message you and you say, give me your email address. I'll send it to you. I'm also going to send you some other stuff that goes along with it that's going to help you. Is that cool with you? Yes. Okay. So now you can send them these emails and you can send them these emails. When they take you up on the low barrier to entry offer, send me your email so I can get you going on this. I'm also going to send you some other emails that are going to help you. Cool with you? Yes. Now that allows you to send the blue emails. Getting permission to message people. It's just doing the right thing, right? It's just doing the right thing. So you can do a lot organic. If you're creating organic posts for a free workshop and you're not getting any traction, let's talk about how we troubleshoot that. So we're closing up this conversation and we're going to move on to, I'm creating posts offering something and no one's taking me up on it. Let's talk about troubleshooting. So we're going to zoom way, way out right now and talk about troubleshooting. And there are many, many, many factors to troubleshooting. I'm going to try to give you the ones that are going to have the greatest impact. So let's go through the phases. We've got your social content. That makes an offer. Okay, so that's where we start. Well, hold on. Hang on, note takers. We're going to start well before this. I said I was going to keep this easy, but you know what? You guys are far from the regular. You ready? You've got your audience. So that's your audience on any social platform. That's your audience on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever. That's your audience. You've got your presence. I'm just going to draw a couple of boxes to represent your presence. Prouty, what are you talking about, presence? I'll tell you. As soon as I learn how to spell presence, it's the first thing I'm going to do. Learn how to spell presence. I'll tell you, hang on. Your presence is every single thing about you on the socials. It is your profile photo. It is how you describe yourself. It is your headline. It is your bio. It is all of your experience. It is the groups you belong to. It is the people with whom you are connected. It is every comment that you make on every post. It is every post that you make. It is the different modalities of the posts that you make. It's absolutely everything that you do online. This is your presence. It is your fingerprint. It is never the same for two people. Your presence is extremely important. Okay, so that's what it's if you have been on a social platform and you have touched a key, that contributes to your presence. From uploading your banner and your profile photo to creating content and everything in between, including the people with whom you are connected and the messages that you send to them and the comments that you make on social content. Your presence is much bigger than you think. And it's much more important than many people realize. In fact, as you'll learn very soon with the new LinkedIn course, which if you're in a program right now, you'll have access to that. With the new LinkedIn course, your presence is what LinkedIn is using to determine who sees your content. So if you're someone who is a professional car washer, like you have a mobile detailing service, and the only groups that you belong to on LinkedIn are for I don't know, something completely not related. Dog training. You're in dog training groups. You have now given LinkedIn two pieces of information. Your business is mobile detailing. Your interests are dog grooming. LinkedIn has no idea who to put your content in front of because your presence is, I'm not going to swear, but it is. Your presence is messed up if you do that. And if you're only connected with dog trainers, right? If you're only connected with dog trainers, now your presence is even more messed up. Your content's not going anywhere. So you've got your audience, and a portion of that audience here in this circle are your connections, because your audience expands beyond your connections. So you've got your audience, you've got your connections, you've got your presence, then you've got your content. Through any modality. This is written content, this is video content, audio content, whatever. You've got your content. Your content includes an offer. Okay, so there's an offer in your content that promotes your lead magnet. Which then promotes, I'm just going to make a cloud. Your main thing. Your YOR. Your main thing. And as we went into extremely painful detail up here, there are many things that can come after the lead magnet. So we've got your main thing. So the goal here is to troubleshoot all the way to here. Actually, not all the way to there. The goal is to troubleshoot all the way to here. And so we start at the far left in troubleshooting. And what we are looking for are leaks. We're looking for where people fall away. I will happily check out your presence on LinkedIn on a Thursday call. So come Thursday and put that up as the very first question next Thursday, because we've got people in here who are not in programs right now, and then I've got all the people on YouTube that are watching this, and then this thing's going to be recorded on YouTube. I really want, that's like the, let's do that in the privacy of the implementation workshop on Thursday. Deal? So bring that up to me first thing on Thursday. I'll do my best to remember. So we start troubleshooting here. Are the people who are connected with you and are the people who are seeing your content the people who want, need, and will pay for your services? So we start troubleshooting with the audience and the connections. If I'm running a steak restaurant, I don't want to connect with a bunch of vegans. I will close, my restaurant will close if that's the only people I'm marketing to. And I'm not serving that. I'm not serving fake beef. I'm serving, So your audience and your connections is the first place that you troubleshoot. I'm not going to try to convert anyone to eating anything, Rukia. I live in a household right now where 2 of my kids have become non-meat eaters. The oldest 2, for whatever propaganda they've heard, they've gone that way, and that's totally fine. So I was having to make 2 dinners now. And then the 4-year-old has decided that he doesn't want to eat anything Dad cooks for everybody else. He wants his own dinner. So some nights I'm like literally cooking 3 dinners here. If anybody wants to come over and lend a hand. So we troubleshoot the audience, we troubleshoot the connections. That's where we start. And look, you're not going to want to be honest with yourself, but you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look at these people that you're connected with, and you got to say, are these the people who have a burning need for what I do, who are interested in purchasing what I offer, and who have the money to be able to do so? This is the pizza restaurant. Why do I always, you know why I'm always talking about food, right? Do you guys know why I'm always talking about food here? Here it is. I just had this up. Oh my God, I can eat in 4 hours. Someone, please take the food. Yeah. It's the pizza restaurant. If you have a pizza restaurant, you want to fill your pizza restaurant with people who love to eat pizza, who are hungry, and who have money to buy pizza. If you don't have those 3 things, you're not going to sell any pizza. If they hate pizza and they're starving and they have money, they're not buying your pizza. If they love pizza and they just got done eating somewhere, they're not going to buy your pizza. If they love pizza and they're starving, but they're broke, they're not buying your pizza. So you've got to be honest with yourself. Are the people I'm connected with the right people? Check. Yep. Like, it makes no sense for me to be connected with a bunch of HR vice presidents. Makes no sense. If that was my entire LinkedIn audience, what's going to happen to me? Then you got to look at your presence. And there is a secret part of your presence that I have not talked about that I'm going to save for last, because it's the hardest thing to troubleshoot, and it's the most painful thing to troubleshoot. I'll save it for last. We'll take care of the easy stuff first. So then you look at your presence. Does my profile clearly demonstrate what I can do for someone? In other words, is my profile client-centric? Is it client-centric, or is it all about me? Is it me-centric? It should be client-centric. It should demonstrate what you can do for them. Everywhere they look, they should be seeing what you can do for them. In all of your posts, in everything that you write about yourself, in all of the recommendations that you get, in all the groups you belong to, and then you go into the group and what you contribute to the groups. Everywhere should demonstrate what. That's a great question that just came in. I'll get to. Give me just 1 second. I'll get to that. There's a couple of questions queued up. Let me go through the troubleshooting and then I'll answer. There's like 3 questions queued up. That was a great one that just came in. The short answer is get to work. The short answer is get to work on this. So your entire, but we'll talk more in a minute. So your entire presence has to be one of client-focused, giving people the stuff that they need. So you troubleshoot that. Are you doing that? Does your entire presence demonstrate what you can do for them? Miss just one, and you have a leak. Miss just one little thing, and you've got a leak. And you know who's going out of that leak? Potential clients. And you know where they're going? They're going to your competition. So you got to plug that leak. Your entire presence should be focused on helping people and making an offer. Watch every single one of my YouTube videos. There's 700 of them. Every single one helps and makes an offer. Helps, makes an offer. Check. Then you move to your content. Sorry, I was looking out the window. I just heard a big rumble, and there might be a rocket going up, or a truck going by. You might not know this. I live near where they send rockets into space, and my house shakes when they do. So then you get to start troubleshooting your content. Does your content help people and make an offer? What is the first line of your content? What's the first sentence? Does it draw people in? Does it hook them in? Does it call them out? Does it make them feel like they belong? Do they feel well cared for by what you're creating? You want an example? Go look at Cicely. Look at every single word she says. Go find Cicely. You all know her. Look at everything she does. Every single thing she puts out helps you first. Right? Every single thing that she does helps first. And a lot of times there's not even an offer because you just know what to do. But I like making offers. I like putting the offers out there as well. So is your content helping them? If you think about those first 3 ingredients together, you've got the right people who see you in the right way, who you're helping them every time they come to you. That's extremely important. What image are you using in your content? Are you using stock photography that people will scroll by because they think it's an ad? Are you using real photography of you? So you got to start to troubleshoot there. So you start with your audience, start with your connections, then make sure your presence doesn't have any leaks. Now you move on to the content. But the content is just one part of it. Then you have to look at your offer. People must believe 3 things to take you up on any offer. You know what? There are so many more conditions. The first, ready? For them to take you up on your offer, let's talk about the conditions. Conditions and beliefs. The conditions: 1, solves a problem. 2, solves a big problem. People are really looking to have their problem solved. So the condition has to be that it solves a big problem. Condition number 2, they have the problem. Condition number 3, they want the problem solved. Okay. Solves a big problem, they have the problem, and they want it solved. You need those conditions. And then what are the beliefs? Hey, by the way, listen up. This is even true for your free offers. Okay, this is even true for your free offers. So what are the beliefs? The beliefs are the solution works. That's number 1. Number 2, the solution works for them. It's belief number 2. And then the third belief, you can deliver the solution. That's 3. So conditions and beliefs. There's a website designer on YouTube right now that says, I would like to work with you. Well, website designer, I would like to work with you too. Figure it out. Figure out how to get a hold of me. Here, I'll put a link for you. Pop on my calendar. I just popped it in the chat. Okay, so we need these conditions and we need these beliefs. So you get to troubleshoot all of those as well. Hey, look, you think this is easy stuff? Come on. You want easy, go get a job somewhere and drive there every day and sit in a cubicle and work for an hour and then get yelled at and then go home and dread the weekends because you know the weekends are going to end and you got to go back to it. You want easy, go do that. Please. This is hard stuff, guys, but when you get it right, you can't stop it. I still haven't even told you the most important thing to troubleshoot. So you got to troubleshoot your offer. And you've got to be able to eloquate to people in your content that there's a big problem that they have that you can solve. And they want to solve the problem. And P.S. 4, they're willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay for it. I get advertised, we're coming close on time. I get advertised to all the time by a permanent Christmas light installation company. They're going to come in and install permanent LED lights on the house. And that is something that I have wanted on my house for a long time. If you've been around for a real long time, you'll remember a year where I bought yards and yards and yards of LED strips, and I spent months soldering these things together and attempting to waterproof them, and then spending weeks hanging them on the edge of my house, and then building a little computer that ran these things, and then it rained once, and everything stopped working because I'm terrible at soldering stuff. These companies market to me $2,500 to come install these lights on my house. Solves a big problem. I have the problem. I want the problem solved. I know the solution works. I know the solution will work for me. Guess what? I don't believe that they'll come here and do a great job. So I went on Amazon, spent a couple $100 instead of a couple $1,000, bought the same stuff that they would come and install. It took me 20 minutes with this new stuff that wasn't around years ago. Peeled it off, stuck it up, screw. No time at all. I got permanent Christmas lights because I didn't believe that for an additional $2,000 that they were going to come in and do the same kind of job that I could do, and I'm okay peeling off sticky tape and sticking it on. So they violated just one of those things, and I didn't hire them. So there, you got a lot of troubleshooting to do there. Then your lead magnet. Does your lead magnet satisfy all of these things? Does it give them what they're looking for? And then at the other end, does it give them a result? And then what are you doing here in between the lead magnet and selling them? Are you sending them emails, texts, calling them, working with them? What are you doing? How do you troubleshoot that? What response rate are you getting? Or do you just send them the lead magnet and you're hoping? It doesn't work that way. Hope, there's no hope in any of this. You know what? When I was living outside of Boston, I actually had physical space that I worked in, and the poster that we had on the wall said, "There is no hope." And people would come in and be like, "What do you mean there is no hope?" I'm like, "Well, we don't hope for anything. We just make it happen." There's no hope in any of this. You cannot hope. And so you have to troubleshoot every micro step of the way. But here's the hardest thing to troubleshoot. I leave you with this. The hardest thing to troubleshoot is not your audience or your presence or your content or your offer. All of that stuff can be very formulaic. It's not your lead magnet because you can research and figure out. You can figure it all out, right? You know what you got to troubleshoot? Sorry, you. It's you. It's you. I almost yelled. You know what? I will. Are you someone that they want to hire? Guys, do they look at you and say, "I want to work with this person"? And I'm fired up about this because it's the one thing everybody ignores. It's what they ignore. It's your one enemy. It's you. Are you presenting yourself in such a way that they are magnetized to you? That they want to be a part of what you've got going on, that you have a mission and a movement? That's what you got to troubleshoot. Or do they, and look, it's hard. You got to look in the mirror and say, would I hire myself? I'm muted because I'm on YouTube. It's hard. It's hard. That's the honest self-reflection that nobody wants to do. And you get all the way through this thing, and you've done all the right things, and still nobody's hiring you. It's you. You got to look at yourself. You got to figure out, what is it about me? And I'm not saying it's anybody who asked the question. You all have to do this. You all have to do this. Cicely just chimed in. It's hard but necessary. Go watch her stuff. She does this thing by nature to make herself into the person that people want to hire. Kim, you're out there. Come on. Sorry that I had to yell. I'm very inspired by this. Some of the questions that were asked. You're going to want to hear this one. My contacts were all built in a previous career. How do I make the transition? You got two choices. You could either disconnect from everybody from the previous career and just start building new, or just start building new now. And don't worry about letting go. Don't worry about getting rid of the people from the previous career, because they might be able to help you, and second level connections would probably be very helpful there. So just start being very, very clear about who it is you bring in. I know it's past the top, it's the top of the hour, but I'm going to keep going just for a few more minutes because there's a couple questions queued up. So just start and have a lot of awareness to who you're bringing in. Somebody says, do you feel that the changes to Twitter hurt some businesses, including media outlets, especially since they're charging for APIs? Yeah, it definitely did. They don't care. Twitter, Musk and all those people, they don't care. They're experimenting. They're trying things. They're looking for money grabs. It's fine. But it did hurt. Absolutely. Somebody says, I'm here and I love this. Thank you. Firehose Prouty is back. Yeah, well, today was That was interesting. Okay, that's all the question. Oh, no, there's a question in YouTube. Please tell me how to get these clients to see the value in my website design service. So you've got to educate them. You've got to lead with education in your content. If it's a website design, you've got to think about what they want to learn about. They don't want to learn website design. They want to learn about the results that they can get from your website design. You've got to be leading with that kind of education. So what you do here, what you do is you find the most popular questions asked about website design. And here's how you do that. And you guys in the inner circle, you guys know this. You go to Google, ready? And you type website design services. I'm posting for a free workshop on LinkedIn though. Well, then, you've got to make sure that the people on LinkedIn want that workshop. Website designer on YouTube. You go here, you type in website design services, you go here to people also ask, and you click and you close, and you click and you close, and you click and you close, and you click and you close. And now you've got 10 to 12 different articles that you could be writing on social media to demonstrate yourself as an expert, as an authority, who can be trusted, who can do a good job with websites. You start by educating. You start by educating, and these are the questions you should be answering. Google will tell you what they are. You don't even have to guess. You don't even have to guess. That's how you do that. So if you're posting for a free workshop on LinkedIn and you're not getting any response, it means that the people who are seeing that are not interested in your workshop. That's where you start troubleshooting. Can someone please send me the screen share? I'm in Mexico and forgot about the time change. I'll send it to you, Jeanette. We went past the top of the hour because I was yelling. It's important. It's important stuff. All right, guys. Woo! Huh, I don't know. Sometimes it happens. Coffee at 2, inner circle, coffee at 2 o'clock. If you're on YouTube and you want to have coffee at 2 o'clock, then go to chrisproutytraining.com, sign up for the inner circle, and come have coffee with me at 2 o'clock. Very simple. I'll send out an email. Well,